When you think of overrated and overblown big budget Hollywood offerings, there are certain titles that come to mind at the top, but the one that really sticks with me is The Dark Knight Rises. Now, I never saw the film in theatres for obvious reasons, but I recently caught up with it and I can honestly say I've never been so disappointed by a movie in my entire life. And I'm a Star Wars fan for f***'s sake. I mean, the film has everything going for it. A big budget, a great cast, a director whose work I greatly admire, and still the end product is tragically flawed in a number of ways. Ways in which I will now elaborate on via the way of a numbered list. Number 1. Where the f*** is Batman? Now, some might accuse me of nitpicking here, but when I go to see a film about Batman, I expect to see Batman on screen for the majority of the film. That didn't happen in this one. In fact, Bruce spends the majority of the film locked in prison taking life lessons from a horde of aging convicts. I actually cut the film down myself to the parts where Batman is on screen and is doing stuff, and the total runtime came out to 40 minutes. Yes, 40 minutes of a 2-hour 40-minute movie, or 25% of the film total running time, is Batman being Batman. Add to that the fact that Commissioner Gordon spends the majority of the film strapped to a hospital bed, and you have a film which is devoid of the two characters that make the Batman franchise Batman for most of the film. Not really a great approach to making a Batman film, wouldn't you say? Number 2. Joseph Gordon-Levitt acts really weirdly like an android from Blade Runner or something. Now, don't get me wrong, I like Joseph Gordon-Levitt as much as the next person. In fact, one of my favourite movies, Brick, is so very good because of his performance. In this movie, however, where he plays Detective Blake, there are times when he just can't emote to save his life. For example, there's a scene on the bridge where the fate of thousands, if not millions of people rests on him, convincing the officers on the other side to let him pass. And this is the approach that he chooses.
Please do not shoot me!
He doesn't scream, he doesn't try and convince them through logic of any sort, he just walks forward like a zombie and forces them to blow the bridge, cutting off the survivors' escape route. Nice one. Another example of him underacting is this scene where Gordon goes into the sewers after Bane and Joseph's character is trying to get the cops to go in after them.
No one goes in there till we know what's down there.
We know what's down there, so the police commissioner.
Someone get this hothead out of here.
That honestly made me burst out laughing the first time I heard it. Hothead? I mean, seriously, he didn't even lift his voice.
We know what's down there, so the police commissioner.
The scene just plays out like this to me. We should go down there. It's like they've both just done Xanax or something. But hold on, who's the other character in the scene? Number 3. Foley. So there's this other detective guy, Foley, who's senior in rank to Blake, and he's also quite possibly the worst detective in the world. His entire character is designed just to slow down the plot so that there's no chance of the police catching Bane before the plot can move forward. If the police were in any way competent, Bane would have already been killed or captured in the early part of the film, and the movie would have taken an hour tops. I mean, this is a guy who lets Commissioner Gordon be put in the hospital by Bane, and then gets almost every cop in the city trapped underground through his own incompetence, but by far my favourite moment is when he decides to let Bane escape and decides to pursue the Batman instead.
One leg pulled off. No hostage. Shall we pursue?
Negative. Stay on the Batman.
I mean, this is a guy who has plenty of police cars, why not pursue them both? But oh no, he lets Bane escape. What harm could that possibly do? If you ask me, he does much more than anyone else in the story to destroy Gotham and should be considered the primary villain of the film. Speaking of which, number 4. Bane dies like a bitch. So Bane is portrayed as the uber badass of the film, the big bad. He beats Batman in the first fight and literally has Batman on the ropes in the second fight when Catwoman rides in and kills him instantly by shooting him. No reaction shots, nothing. She just shoots him and he's dead. That's it. The entire climax of the movie feels lame, with the battle between Bane's forces and the cops amounting to little more than an Irish pub brawl, and the highlights of which is the useless cop from the previous paragraph finally getting shot. And then we have Bane's lame death to top it all off. Not terribly inspiring stuff. Number 5. That villain who I don't remember the name of, seeing as she has 3 minutes of development and her betrayal of Batman comes out of nowhere. Now, my first thoughts when she stabbed Batman were not exactly, oh my god, she stabbed Batman, but rather, wait a second, who is she again? Which is really not a good sign for a villain. You see, the I was the bad guy all along turnabout, which was perfected by the usual suspects and has since been done to death, only works when the main character, who's also the villain, is developed enough for the audience to actually relate to them and ultimately care about the reveal. And let me tell you, this is no usual suspects. All in all, she basically has no character and is also a psychic for some reason.
Gordon, you gave him a way to block my signal.
Really? You sure that that detonator isn't just broken? Conclusion. So all in all, it is a movie with more than its fair share of flaws, and it certainly didn't deserve the almost ridiculous levels of acclaim and Nolan fanboy white knighting that it got. Is it a truly bad movie? Well, no, it has its moments when some of the badassery of the previous films shone through, but all in all it was a disappointing as hell film, and no honest audience member can sit here and say that we didn't deserve something more than this to close out the trilogy.
At the end of the day though, almost anything's better than this.
Oh, and also, Venn diagrams.